Hey, this is Chad with Be Gone for Good. Today's video is going to be all about what you do after you get your adventure bike. You want to get out there, you want to start riding these trails, you want to take these adventures, you want to get on the train that you've been going after. So this is what you do now that you've got that adventure bike. Roll that intro. All right, I know we've all been dealing with this social distancing thing, dealing with coronavirus, trying to stay home and do the right thing here. But soon, at some point, this is all gonna end, and then we get to get back out there on the road. So today I'm gonna talk about a couple of the ways that I have found are really good at getting that first trip under your belt, getting that first adventure scheduled, finding those options out there, finding those opportunities once you have that adventure bike. But first I wanna give you just a couple of updates. Right off the bat, Horizons Unlimited Virginia at the tail end of April has been canceled. Actually, it's been moved. It has not been canceled. It's been moved. So it'll be the tail end of August instead. I'm looking to see if I can still attend, looking to see if I can still present, but I'll be in discussions with the team up there, and I will let you know once I get that all hammered out. But tail end of August instead of the tail end of April. I know everybody is practicing the social distancing thing. We're getting away from everybody else and trying to kind of work this whole thing out. I know there's a lot of riders out there right now, a lot of world travelers and a lot of international travelers that are stuck in whatever state or country or area that they are currently in with a quarantine or something along those lines. So I want to wish all those folks a lot of luck. Hunker down for a little bit and we will all get through this together, I'm sure. You've got your first adventure bike. Where do you go from there? I'm going to give you a couple of different ideas, some things that I've uncovered and places that I've found to research new adventures that you can take. I'm going to leave a ton of links down in the description, so if any of this sounds good to you, definitely check out those links down there and you'll get everything you need to, and you can follow down the rabbit hole of where all this came from. First off, the first organization I want to talk about, just because they are in the United States, it's an organization that I've been following for a long time. I've taken one of their routes before, so I know that they're good, is the BDR, the Backcountry Discovery Route Community. If you've been watching this channel at all, you know that I've been reviewing their latest film, which is the Northeast BDR, which goes from, I want to say, like Pennsylvania or New York area, all the way up through Maine. It's a great route. The ride that these guys took is just amazing, but the BDR community also has 9 other routes outside the northeastern one, all across states, so that if you want an adventure, you can find one of these routes. They're completely mapped out, completely ready to go, completely free, and provide you all the adventuring opportunity you want. The one thing I would caution you about, though, is if you are a new rider, if you've just gotten that adventure bike and you're now looking for your first adventure, there are different levels, different capabilities on some of these BDRs. Some of them are super difficult. If you watch my Utah video, which I'll link right here, you can see that we got ourselves in way over our heads on our first route too. So just be aware of that, recognize what kind of rider you are, what type of riding you're capable of. Always go out with a partner, especially if you're new at this, and check that out from there. But those routes, all 10 of BDR's routes, are fantastic and will leave you wanting more adventure in your life, I guarantee it. The next 2 are ones that I've heard about, ones that everybody knows about, but I have not personally ridden or been a part of. One is the TAT. Now I know there's a lot of kind of conjecture around the 2 guys that have created routes for the TAT and who stole what from whom and whatever, and I'm not really here to get into all that. But if you're looking for adventure, there is a route that takes you essentially from the east coast of the states all the way to the west coast of the states. I want to say it starts in like western North Carolina or maybe Tennessee, but it is pretty much the entire country of the United States all the way across. So that is a great trail, tons of adventure there, lots and lots and lots of really tricky and maybe even somewhat dangerous parts. So again, be aware of what you're doing, what type of rider you are, how capable you are before you take on that entire trip. But my understanding is that's a great opportunity for people to take. Another one that's along those same lines is called the Trans-Wisconsin Adventure Trail, or the TWAT, I guess. Essentially the same sort of thing as the BDR. I'm guessing it's a little bit more rugged. I think it's more for just dirt bike related type of stuff, not necessarily big adventure bikes, but I'm sure that you can take an adventure bike out there as well. Like I said, I have not ridden these, but these are places that you can go to start getting information if you want to get an adventure. I know the Midwest is a little bit of a black hole when it comes to adventure riding because it's a lot of flat land. There's not a lot of area out there that's maybe fun to ride, I guess. So when you find a spot like this, like the TWAT, definitely take advantage of that and make sure that the people who have created this know that you're interested in this type of thing so that they continue to make routes like this and get that interest going. The BDR community exists basically because of all of the interests and the supporters that have been following that organization for 10 years now. From there, one resource that I didn't take advantage of when I first got my adventure bike was to talk to local shops. I know that if you are going to a shop that deals mainly in sport bikes or cruisers and things of that nature, and maybe they've only got 1 or 2 adventure bikes in there, maybe that's not the best place to talk to them about. But if you find a dealership that deals with a lot of Euro sports dealerships are going to be like this because your BMW guys are all about the adventure. So find one of those dealerships. Even if that's not the bike you're riding, I'm sure they'll be more than happy to talk to you about local things that are going on, whether those are meetups, whether those are rallies, whether those are just kind of weekend overnighter rides that they do. If you want to get involved in groups like that, sometimes the local shops that you have are going to be your best resource to find those different groups. Once you get into those groups, then sky's the limit because you can talk to everybody there about what they're doing next, what rides they're going on, what they're going to be doing for adventure from that point on. And that'll give you a lot of ideas. There'll be a lot of percolating going on to get you into that next adventure ride from there. And that is a totally untapped resource as far as I'm concerned. I have not done enough talking to other people to find this stuff out. I tend to do a lot of kind of solo research on my own on the internet, things along those lines. But if you are interested in really getting into the community, definitely dive into those local contacts because they will have a ton of information for you, can really get you up to speed quickly. Another place that you can go to get great resources for adventures that you can take and rides that you can go on and just how to get involved a little bit more is the boards on the internet. From Horizons Unlimited to ADV Rider to Facebook groups that are dealing with riding and adventuring and all that sort of stuff. Tons of people have been out there. They've ridden every ride. They've gone on every rally. They've done everything that's out there. And they are very, very excited to talk to you about it and get you involved. So go on any one of those boards and say, hey, I'm a new rider. I'm looking for a ride in Oregon or Idaho or Texas or Tennessee or Maine. And I'm sure somebody in your community will give you some idea of where to go from that point on. But those are a main staple that I've used to get adventures started, to talk to different people about routes they've taken and really start riding this bike the way that it's meant to be ridden. All right, one of the last ways that I found, and I'm just starting to scratch the surface on this, but it seems like a really, really great opportunity, is checking with the Forestry Service. Now you can go to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and I think there's a specific cutout for Forestry Service. Type in OHV trails, and that will take you to all sorts of off-road trails that are with the Forest Service for little to no money at all to be able to ride. And they are in every state. They are all over the place. You can find them anywhere. Some of them are small little state parks, some are national parks. It's all different stuff. But there's a ton of riding available, probably pretty close to where you are, or at least closer than you would think. All part of your managed Forestry Service. So I just started scratching the surface on there. I was surprised that there are 12 different places in North Carolina ready to go to do this type of thing. One of them I want to say is only about 30, 45 minutes away. And I want to say it's maybe only 30 or 40 miles of actual trails, but that's a lot more than I've been riding recently, and it's a lot closer than I've been going to get to a lot of the other stuff. So I'm really excited to start uncovering that and digging a little bit deeper. But if you've got a brand new adventure bike that you need to get out there and put some miles on the off-road, this is a great resource for you. Again, I will leave links down in the description. Feel free to go down there, start clicking on everything you can because it will all take you to great places to get your bike a little bit dirty. Now that we've got you sped up with a few ideas for where to go adventuring, I'm going to talk just real quickly about why adventuring is going to be so important in the future here. I wouldn't personally go out right now just because I think we're trying to limit interactions as much as possible just for probably the next couple of weeks, maybe the next couple of months at most. But as we start getting into summer, I imagine we're going to be kicking back into real life here in the States at least. And what's going to be so important about adventuring is, one, we're all going to have a little bit of cabin fever, so we need to just get out there and start riding and having a good time. But two, and this is why I would wait until we kind of get through this, is that we're going to be bringing a lot of money with us on these trips, as far as every time we have to eat, every time we have to stay somewhere, every time we have to fill up for gas. And a lot of these smaller communities that we're going to be traveling through are going to need that money. Those are the grocery stores that are shut down right now. Those are the restaurants that are shut down. Those are the hotels that aren't taking in anybody right now. So they're going without a lot of revenue, and all of those workers are laid off as well. So I'm really seeing this as a great opportunity to adventure with a purpose. Kind of the whole point of Be Gone for Good in the first place is that we want to do as much good as we possibly could while we're on the trail. I know that we're hitting the Mid-Atlantic BDR this summer. Initially, that was just for a lot of fun and to go out with the guys and have a great ride. Now it seems to take on a little bit different character, though, because every one of those towns we pass through is going to need the funds that we're bringing in. So we are going to pay a lot of attention to making sure that we are buying local, that we are sticking to the non-franchise type restaurants, and really getting money into that community as much as possible, because I am guessing they are hurting right now. And the longer this goes on, the more pain they're going to be feeling. So anything you can do once this all clears to get out there, get on your bike, and start spreading that money around to those local communities, the better. It's kind of what this channel is all about, or at least what I wanted it to be about. So if you don't have a trip planned right now, hit some of these links, find an adventure that's maybe even just a weekend for you, a longer one if you can, but start using it, getting out there on that bike, and really make this community have an impact when we get out there. I want to say it was something like $11 million was raised on BDRs over the past year. We can definitely improve that this year if we just go out and start hitting these trails more often and taking a little bit of recognition with us of how we can help these communities while we're on that path. So, all right, that's enough of my soapbox. I appreciate you guys watching. I do videos like this all the time. If you're interested in it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, do all the things you're supposed to do on YouTube. I appreciate it. The channel is still growing. That means you guys are talking about us and letting your friends know that this is something that they'd be interested in. So I thank you to all the supporters that are out there. I thank you for everybody who's checking out the channel. It's meant a great deal to us, and we are going to keep producing. I'm over the sickness. I beat it. So I'm feeling better. We're going to get back on track with some videos here. I imagine shortly our mentality is going to start shifting from emergency and dealing with this every day to kind of getting back to the routine of life. And I hope that happens sooner than later, because again, there's a lot of people that need us to start getting back into the swing of things out here. So we're going to do that. Thank you very much for watching. Signing off. Have a good one.